Good morrow, scholars. Welcome back to my review of Twilight, or excuse me, Life and Death, Twilight Reimagined, as well as the first chapter of Twilight. I probably should have raised this up for the introduction. Anyway, okay, so I read the first two chapters of this one, and I read the first chapter of this one. I accidentally read the first two chapters of this one before I started reading the first chapter of this one like I was supposed to. And, okay, I have a few, not really problems yet, because, you can't judge a book until you get to know it. I say always, but I always feel like, don't get rid of a book until you've read at least 50 pages of it. And even though I've technically read 50 pages, it doesn't count like that. Don't put down a book until you've read the first 50 pages and see if you can't figure out where it's going or where it's taking you, however you want to look at it. Now, a couple of things so far, and I'm ashamed to admit it, the male character I find, well, I'm not really ashamed to, well, no, I should be, because although I'm quite the feminist, I feel like the male character is more relatable than the original character, Bella, from Twilight. And I know, the most probable reason for that would be the fact that I am in fact male. My mother had me tested. And at the same time, I want to say that's not the reason. I know that Stephanie Meyer, in the foreword, I went over it somewhat. She described Beau as being less flowery with his words than Bella was. But I have to be honest, Beau, when she was writing this character, is much more descript with his thoughts than Bella was. Bella seemed very, I don't want to say two-dimensional, because, but she was a very flat character. And Beau, there's... It upsets me, because the only reason I feel like I say that he's any better as a character is because of the fact that he's a male, and I can relate to males easier than I can with a female character. However, some of my favorite characters from past series have been female characters that I felt were very strong, very well written. They don't even need to be strong in a masculine sense. They need to be strong in mentally, or they need to be sure of themselves, or they need to start as unsure and then grow, and then they can learn how to be strong, independent women that don't need no man. You know what I mean? Since I talked about Animorphs in the last video, my favorite character for the males was Tobias. He's the weird loner kid who ends up trapped in the body of a hawk. Spoilers in case you didn't read it. And I could relate to him because I always felt like an outsider, and my biggest wish was that when I died, I could be reincarnated as a bird so that I could fly away. But then I remembered I'm afraid of heights, so it wouldn't be a good idea. And but my favorite character throughout the series was Rachel, the main character, from the first book. And he's kind of the main character throughout the series, even when the point of view isn't his. His name was Jake, which was my dog's name. Rachel was his cousin. And she was headstrong, and she was sure of herself, and yeah, she was pretty, but she was also, she had this, the fortitude that you would expect from, I don't know, a seasoned warrior. And I don't know, just having a character like that, she was in touch with her feminine side. She was very girly. She would dress with all the latest fashions and whatnot. But she could kick your butt 10 ways to Sunday. I don't know why I said 10. I think the phrase is 7. And that characterization, that dichotomy there, you don't expect them to mesh well together, but she pulled it off. K.A. Applegate. And I know a lot of people said like the only reason boys liked Animorphs was because they thought it was a guy writing it. But I had known since before I started reading, even when I was a little kid, that the author was female, except for like the male ghostwriters and everything. And I've never seen a reason for there to be a discrepancy between the popularity of a female author and a male author. Would since we have gender names for everything, would author change for a lady, like an authoress? Let me know down in the comments. I don't want to look it up because I feel like it would be rude. Moving on, however, another strong character that started out, not so strong, but a good building block would be Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, or the Song of Ice and Fire series of books. Like, she was sure of herself, to be sure, but also she grew and she was able to become an accomplished swordswoman, and she's smart and cunning and kills people. There's so many different ways that you can write female characters, and they can be interesting, entertaining, and good. And I feel, at least for the first chapter, Bella. Now, admittedly, like I said, this is the first chapter, and you need to give at least 50 pages. She hasn't had a chance to actually do anything to grow as a character. And I'm not deriding the character nor Stephanie Meyer, because you can't just like gun it right at the start of the book, because there's got to be build up. You've got to like reach that crescendo first and then go for it. And so I'm gonna hold off like any bad mouthing. I'm not gonna badmouth Twilight at all. I mean, I've never been a fan of the books or the movies, but like I said, I read all of them except for this one, and now I'm reading this one. So from I think here on out, I'm gonna finish this book first. I'll do a quick little not review, but like every other day, I'll once I've read a certain number of pages, I'll give you an update on where I am in the book and stuff like that. And then I'll finish this one, and I'll do 1 or 2 videos, maybe one of me. It'll be an update as I'm reading it, and then the last video will be the comparison between the two. So yes, I'll finish this one first, then I'll read this one, and you guys will just kind of follow along with my update videos. How does that sound? Unless you would prefer that I read 1 chapter of each, and then I do a quick little synopsis of the two, and I discuss the pros and cons and compare and contrast everybody. Hi, Jessie. Jessie's my baby. She's a herding dog, and how old are you now? Like 17, or just about? Okay. Another problem I have, especially with Bella, is let's see. How can I word this? She seems kind of conceited. Like, the best way I can describe it, the best way to describe it is, it's actually from an episode of Danny Phantom, if you guys ever watched that. Do you remember when Danny was being influenced by the Freak Show character, I think was his name? The one in charge of the circus. And all the kids were ditching school and whatnot, and they were talking about their individuality and everything by dressing exactly the same. Bella strikes me as not like that, but that same mentality. She's discussing how She's never one of the popular kids back at home, but now everyone's going to be gossiping and talking about her because she's here, and it just, I don't know. I don't like that. With Bo, he seems much more concerned about the fact that he'll be seen as a freak or an outsider. And Bella, to contrast, seems more like she doesn't want to deal with the popularity that, I don't think she really has, because you never really see her talking to anybody outside the initial group. It's just Eric, Mike, Jessica, and Angela, right? Oh, and Ben. Ben is also there. I'm going to put a link in the description to a web series. They canceled it long ago, but the first 5 episodes, I think, are up. It might be 6. It's called Twilight the Musical, and it was really funny, and it was a part of my high school, well, not career, but my high school life, especially because I've always wanted to do a Twilight parody. Jesse! And now that this has come out, I think I might actually do that. So let me know if you've got any ideas on what you would like to see me do for Life and Death Twilight Reimagined parody. Or if you would like to see me try and act out the book in a condensed amount of time, say like Life and Death Twilight Reimagined in 5 minutes. If I should try and find actors or friends who would be willing to act, or if I should try and do a one-man show. Say, face down the middle, I do makeup for Bo and makeup for Edith, and it's just back and forth, like Two-Face, something along those lines. Alright, now, so far, I mean, I've always said the books aren't awful, but the fan base is rabid. But I feel like the books could have been written better. My biggest complaint was that everyone touted Stephenie Meyer as the greatest author who ever lived. And I can understand, I mean, I've always said similar things about R.L. Stine, because, I grew up with his books. But to say that everyone else is awful because they're not Stephenie Meyer, or something along those lines, I've never agreed with. I never liked it, and that's really why I got turned away from Twilight in the first place. Now, my friend Miga, however, he's an anti. He will hate anything that's popular just because it's popular and for no other reason, which is weird that he loves Deadpool. I've called him out on that before, and he goes to Starbucks and stuff like that. He's a hipster, but he's more an anti than he is hipster, and we have a lot of arguments about that. So please go over to the Gotham City Critics and find out how he's a hipster, please. I would love to drown him in comments. Also mention One More Day and Brand New Day and One Moment in Time of the Spider-Man comics. I think that'll be it for this video. I know I didn't really go over too much, but not much has happened in either one. I've just noticed that this one she has the apple in both hands. In this one, he has an apple in one hand. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I understand why. I mean, the physical aspect is that, male hands are usually bigger. Unlike Michael, his hands are actually smaller than my mom's. It's funny. But I feel like there's some symbolism there that she might not have thought about. Like, like here with Bella, it could mean she's wholeheartedly, pun intended, giving symbolically her heart to Edward. And here, this looks more like possession. Like he's presenting that he has his heart, ready to give to her, but isn't quite there yet. You know what I mean? Let me know if you guys think anything along those lines. If I'm wrong, like say Stephenie Meyer said exactly what the symbolism was supposed to be for both of the covers, or if I came across something kind of profound. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, especially just going over these books. All right, I've rambled on long enough. Iggy, what do you think? Iggy went back to sleep. He sleeps a lot. I mean, so do I. Not really. I sleep maybe 7 hours. The thing is, I go to bed like 3 in the morning. All right. Sorry for wasting your guys' time. Let me know if you guys are interested in this, or if you're interested in this, and we'll see. I'll try and maybe do a parody for both. I've always wanted to, and this would be the best time to do it. So thanks you guys for watching. Let me know what you think, and until next time, bye everybody.